what I really want to talk about, now that I got that out of the way, before I even get to reviewing Raw and SmackDown and Dynamite, is why records are not going to work in AEW, and why records cannot work in professional wrestling unless very specific steps are taken. And it has to be done in a very meticulous manner in order for it to be valued and taken seriously in the long run. Okay? So I'm gonna break this all down now. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me. It is what it is. Do I like the idea of wins and losses counting and the implementation of a record in professional wrestling? I absolutely love the idea. But there's issues, and it has to be done right, or it should not be done at all, because it'll just become a novelty and meaningless. And AEW at this stage in the game needs to pick up on this before they drop the ball on this and they devalue themselves and shoot themselves in the foot. Apparently some type of troll parody account tweeted Cody. Cody tweeted back talking about why is Darby Allin and what's his damn name? Who was that? Sean Spears or some damn body. They had a 1-2 and 1-3 record or some madness. A record that wasn't winning, and why are they competing for a number one contendership shot at Jericho's title next week, which is prior to the main title shot that's happening at the pay-per-view. Okay. Number one, let's address the first issue. They are competing to face Jericho the next week. Why are they doing this? Simply because they're trying to keep a nice momentum going with Dynamite, and they're trying to put a championship match on Dynamite. Right? Which is cool, I understand that. But in order to fill that spot, you're throwing a match together. You're throwing a match together with two guys with losing records in a company that alleges wins and losses count. Right? You're throwing this match together. They win. We know it's just going to be a filler spot to be a quick, cheap draw to hold people over until the pay-per-view, because there's no way Jericho is dropping that before the pay-per-view, especially with the way he's being booked and built now with his stable, the Inner Circle. It's not going to happen. Right? So you throw together a match with two guys, again, with losing records, when records are supposed to mean something. Now, we heard the argumentation, it's about strength of schedule. Well, he had this match and they beat this legend and he had a good match with me. Here's the problem with strength of schedule, right? First off, it's all predicated upon personal preference and opinion, honestly. But even then, it's really not all that much of a problem. But the problem is strength of schedule works when teams have similar records. That's how it works in college football, right? When teams have similar records, or if it's a tiebreaker, if a team has the same record, right? If Ohio and Alabama are both 8-1, but Alabama had a tougher schedule, what they call strength of schedule, over Ohio, then they'd be ranked higher than Ohio because they had the similar record, or at least about the same record, right? But one had a stronger schedule. One beat stronger opponents. Either way, both of the individual combatants in this match had losing records. So even that strength of schedule excuse still does not make sense. We understand that WWE is so far in a hole of nonsensical storylines and trying to hope that the WWE universe, that they call them, catches amnesia about certain things they've done. They're deep in that. AEW, y'all got a clean slate. Don't start digging yourself in a hole. Don't start making these retarded decisions when you can make sensible and sound decisions. Period. Right? This is the only way, and my fault before I go there. This is going to be an issue with this record thing. There's one true way, in my opinion, that records are going to work in any professional wrestling promotion. How records can work is the same way it works in sports. If you take a look at, we're in the Major League Baseball playoffs right now. Major League Baseball has American League, right? And it has National League, right? Each one of those leagues is broken up into regions. AL West, AL Central, AL East, NL West, NL Central, NL East. Right? It has divisions. In those divisions, people have records. They play people in those divisions, and they play people outside of those divisions. But their primary rivalries are within their division, and at the end of the season, whoever has the best record in that division wins that division. See that? That's how records work in sports. That's baseball. You go to the NFL, you got NFC, you got AFC, same thing, right? In basketball, you got Eastern Conference, you got Western Conference, and that's broke off into Pacific, Northwest, Southwest, Atlantic, Southeast, Midwest, or however the hell, or Central, that's how they break it up, right? In order for the records thing to work, this thing has to be put in divisions. Even in boxing, you got wins and loss records, but you got welterweights, you got bantamweights, you got featherweights, you got heavyweights, you got middleweights, you got light heavyweights. This is how it's going to have to work. You are going to have to establish divisions. Now, the competition as far as matches that you're booking week to week for Dynamite and AEW Dark, you don't necessarily have to be only competing within your division, but in all of your matches, right? Your record is going, and that counts for people in that division to compete for the championship of that specific division. And this is how records are sensibly going to work cohesively in your show without clashing, right? So right now, you have the AEW title, right? And you're currently doing a tournament for the AEW Tag Team Championship, and I believe there's an AEW Women's Championship, all right? So it would be sensible for 1 to 2 more titles, singles, men's titles, to exist in AEW to be created. You can have a mid-card title and a lower mid-card title or whatever, right? Call it whatever the hell you want. It can be weight-based. It don't have to be weight-based. Maybe you bring back the TV title, the TNT title, right? Maybe you do a branded TNT title for the networks, the TNT Television Championship. Boom. That can be the low-card title. Then you do a middle title, call it whatever the hell you want. Who cares? The damn US, or you can't do US. WWE got US, the damn, who knows, Continental American Championship. Who cares, right? You do that, right? And now you have specific wrestlers that belong in each division. The main event guys are right there, right? Right there in that AEW World title. That's your Jerichos, that's your Codys, right? And whoever the hell else you want to put in there, right? Then you got your undercard guys. You put them in there, your MJFs. Right? Then you got lower card guys, whoever the nigga is, the Young Bucks homie. I forget what the nigga name is. I gave him a good review last week. Right? You put him in there, whatever. And all you just kind of section these guys off, right? And this is the division. So people compete, and within that division, right, the wins and losses are tallied, and this proves who is a legitimate contender for the title of that division. See? Now you have sensibility. Now, if you got a 1 and 2 guy and a 1 and 3 guy, but they still have the best up and running records next to Cody and Jericho, it makes sense to put them together because they're qualified to compete for the number 1 contender spot. But when you got guys that's 2-0, 3-0 that aren't getting the title shot, but guys that are 1 and 2 getting the title shot, it just doesn't make sense. So you put this thing in divisions. Right? You have the people within those divisions compete for who's getting the best record, no matter who they're wrestling, in their division or out of their division. And then when it comes time to a pay-per-view, we start making decisions on who's going to be the contender, who's going to fight for the title. These are the things that are going to need to be done, in my opinion, to make sense of the wins and losses of the records counting. Right? If you don't do things like this or something similar to it, it's going to turn into a mess. Because now it's going to be, well, I feel like he has a stronger schedule because he beat this guy, or they went 20 minutes and then it was a draw. That shit sound like bullshit to me. Just to be quite frank. Implement divisions, create new titles, have individuals in those divisions compete for those titles, right? Based upon each individual's record. Who have the strongest record in these divisions, that's who's competing for the titles. Very simple, if you ask me.